This is very exciting for me today. I have one of my favorite people on here, Emily Blount, who is in Oxford, Mississippi at St. Leo and St. Leo Lounge. And she's been on the podcast a few times. We've talked a lot over the years, and I've gotten to know Emily and just have a lot of respect for her and admire what she's done. And a busy lady, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this today, Emily. Thank you.
Thank you. Always happy to talk. Miss you when we don't for a while. So
Yeah.
good to be back at it. And actually, you'll appreciate this. I have two computers up right now. And when I was waiting to get on, I was literally checking my time off request reports on schedule. I have it up right there. I don't know. Yep. Well, you probably can't see that, but I got my Schedulefly up. It's an awesome tool. Use it every day.
Oh, that's so nice of you. That was not a.
No, it really wasn't planned, but I really was. I really was checking those reports.
Well, okay. Well, actually, that's an interesting thing. We don't have to get into Schedulefly, but we could. I would like to know, like, are you having to deal with a lot more of that now? The time off requests and last minute, like somebody's been exposed to somebody with COVID, or what's going on down there in Oxford with all this stuff?
Thankfully, we've been pretty good on an employee front with COVID. We have had a few people who have either been exposed or had it, but luckily, and I'm knocking on wood right now, nobody who has contracted it has been in the restaurant at the time, or they found out beforehand. So we haven't dealt with anything that's spread through our staff.
Okay.
But I think the bigger thing is, which I'm surprised about, is that staffing in general is a lot harder right now. I anticipated after we reopened, we reopened 2 months ago. We were closed for almost 5 months. We did make the move. I switched the restaurant into the bar space and vice versa because of really the sheer amount of size and knowing that social distancing was not going away anytime soon. It's really turned out for the best. The switch has, just from a functionality and long-term standpoint, I think it's really going to benefit us. But what's amazing is I used to have 77 staff members, and that's how many people I laid off on March 17th, which was horrible. That doesn't even speak to the amount of peripheral chain people that all of that affected, our milk supplier and our distributors and our farmers. But right now, we've hired back. I think I'm at 58, and I'm only open for 8 shifts a week. I used to be open for 12. And I can't get people to come through the door. So that's really been a struggle that I wasn't anticipating. I really kind of felt that we would have the opposite problem, more people needing to work rather than less. But that being said, scheduling is a huge part of our week. It takes up a lot of time. Our assistant general manager does the schedule, and then my partner Joey and I check it and look at it, and it's just challenging. The schedule is always challenging. People, especially our staff, I'm sure like every other staff, has a lot of needs, and they have a lot of things going on. We obviously are in a college town, so people have school and other commitments. So juggling all of that is a time investment and a labor of love, I would say.
Well, I hope somehow Schedulefly makes it a little bit easier for y'all.
Oh, absolutely. It
Never,
is a super great tool. I like, well, there's a lot of things I like about it, but in particular, like the report that I was just checking, it's really helpful to keep track of how, when you have a suspicion that someone keeps on putting up a lot of shifts, like something might be going on, or maybe how we're scheduling them is not working for them. It's so helpful to be able to go and see that history and to see it, how you have it laid out, like this person has requested off 58 times in the last year. And you're like, maybe we should not put them on Sundays. And
yeah, right.
I don't want to work on Sundays. Well, so for all of those different things, it's an awesome tool. And we are on it a lot.
Okay. So, but you had 77, and now you're not able to get people to, you're not able to find people. Like, how are you trying to find people to work there? The same way y'all always have, or like, has
Yeah,
anything changed?
I mean that is definitely could be an ingredient in the problem, is that we've mostly put it out on social media and then word of mouth. But Oxford's also a really small town, so it's not like we have a really large pool of people to be pulling from anyways. Uh, it's not so much a problem to find front of the house people, even though that is still a struggle. It's really, really hard to find um, talented cooks, people who know their way around a kitchen, who have some level of experience. And to be to be a cook in a kitchen, you gotta really know what you're doing, and you have to want to do it and enjoy doing it. Otherwise, that's never a good recipe. And finding that is really, really challenging, especially right now.
Um, yeah, that you have to have a certain amount of experience, especially to cook high end food like what y'all. I mean, you have quality ingredients and
Yeah.
healthy food. So you can't teach that, I guess, right? I mean, you have to have at least some experience. Like, how much experience do you need?
We do bring on people who don't have any experience, and they will come up through the kitchen, and in a lot of ways that's amazing, because we can, um, you know you're not trying to take out bad habits, but hopefully you're creating and instilling good habits and professional habits, and hopefully driving whatever brought them through the door in the first place, nurturing that passion or interest that they have. So we do that, but it's generally it's a long process. And for some of the roles that we have, like our saute cooks and stuff, that's too hard. It takes a while to get to that place. So if you have experience, you could come and you could learn that position. If you have no experience, you're going to start out, you're probably going to start out washing dishes, and then you're going to move to the pantry position and prep and all of that as you take that all in and move along in that way. So for us right now, anybody out there watching, we're looking for experienced line cooks. We're looking for experienced saute. That's the hardest
Yeah.
position in our spot, and pizza too. So we have wood fired pizza ovens. That's a big part of what we do, and that is a very specific skill. And it can be taught and learned, but it does take time, and just a little bit of finesse, which really comes with repetition and doing it over and over again. But those are the hard spots for us.
This may be a random question, but does University of Mississippi have a entrepreneurship program?
They have an MBA program. They have a hospitality program.
Oh, they do. Okay.
They do, but we've been a little bit in touch with them over time, but not in as much touch as one would expect. And you're reminding me that I probably need to reach out to them more frequently. I don't know, enrollment also right now is really down, as I'm sure it is in
Yeah.
colleges and universities across the country, and the world, I suppose. So I'm sure that that's also part of what's driving this hard spot for us, is that there's just not as many people here in town.
Yeah, it seems like gosh, if you haven't somebody in that hospitality program, is the pitch like, hey, even though you may not have planned to be a cook, come cook, we'll teach you how the restaurant, like trade-off is you make some money, but you will learn how the restaurant business really works and how to run a restaurant. I always find that to be, it's great to, and this is true with like almost anything. You go to college and you learn in theory how things work. I'm sure you learn a ton about that in the hospitality, but boy, in the going and doing it's just,
Next level.
You're not really going to understand how a restaurant works until you run a restaurant,
Sure.
no matter what your level of education may be.
And every restaurant is different. Every system is different. Even us making this move, the kitchen is totally and completely different from the teeny little postage stamp that we had at the original St. Leo building. The front of the house is different because it's so much bigger, and the facility in general is so much better. But we're still, we've only really been functioning out of there for 8 weeks, and we're definitely working out all of the kinks all the time. Sometimes when you have something that's so small, there's just so many fewer options. So it's written for you the way that you have to make it happen. And when you have more space, that's definitely one of the new challenges that we've been facing, which is like, all right, what's the best use of this space? How do you make it the most streamlined and efficient and accessible? All of those fun problems that we like to solve. Ari Weinswig, who has Zingerman's in Ann Arbor, Michigan?
I know of them. You're not the first. You're not even like the 8th or 10th person I think that's mentioned them. Almost makes me want to go there. Like, and just,
they're amazing. He's amazing.
Why? What are they doing that's so unique and special there? I don't know much about them. I just keep hearing about them.
That is a broad question that I will attempt to answer.
Yeah.
But just to say, they have 12 laws of great business. And, one of them is, with more success, you get better problems. And that's, better problems. There's always problems, but they're better problems all the time. And I guess that's what I'm referring to when I'm talking about, like, now you have space and you're like, okay, what do I do with it? I will tell you that, so the year that I opened St. Leo, 2016, I guess it must have been, that fall of 2016, I met this man and his partner sitting at table 3 at the original St. Leo, struck up a conversation with them, had a lot to say and a lot in common, and just a natural connection. That was Ari and his partner, Tammy, who is also from the San Francisco Bay Area, where I'm from. And he is just an incredibly generous spirit. And we've had a friendship, and I'm sure a lot of people consider him a mentor in some way, shape, or form, but I definitely do. And so then I started reading his books. He's written a lot of books on business. Okay. And I've been out to see Zingerman's and do one of their Zing Train experiences. And we've had them come and do a training for our leaders. And they've been, I guess, at it since 1982, I think, is when they opened their deli. And their business is very much focused on the people and their company culture. And I think they're a great example of people who do the right thing. It generates positivity and success on many, many levels, I would say. But highly recommend his books. And he also does little pamphlets. I'm looking around because I probably have one within arm's reach. It's like just a little farther over there. But he does pamphlets that you can read, so you don't necessarily have to go into the whole big book, but he's just puts into words really well, I think, what a lot of entrepreneurs are seeking out to do and to create, no matter what your chosen profession is.
Yeah, he knows what's worked, and he's able to communicate it and articulate it really well, which sometimes there's a disconnect with that stuff. You know how to do it, but you don't know how to teach it. But it's interesting because I hear about him, and I hear about Danny Meyer, and I've read Setting the Table, and these things it's always about people, right? Like, it's always about doing the right thing, treating people well, being authentic, being genuinely caring about whether it's the customer, the employee, the investor, or whatever it is. I don't see their stuff. I don't know Zingerman's stuff, so I may be wrong here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I typically don't see people like that have found this amazing level of success in such a tough industry. I don't tend to see them focusing a lot about the numbers and the bottom line and things like that. It seems like that tends to be more of the byproduct of doing things right, than you have the success kind of comes along with that. Is that fair to say? Would you agree with that?
You know, I I mean, I think those Zingerman's three principles, one of them is great finance, because without great finance, you fail. That is literally a direct quote from them. So
What does
I
that mean?
I think that they do pay attention, and they practice open book finance. So everyone in the company can see everything that's going on.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of accountability that's taught across the board from the moment you walk in as an employee. I've never been an employee there, but that is my impression of what is happening. And so I think that they go hand in hand, but I wouldn't say that, I would definitely say that the emphasis being on people and people's experience and people's happiness quotient in that whole, you know, in that setting is what they realize really drives the bottom line.
I love that open book finance. So there, you're really, that helps, but but that's because you want to provide your people a chance to learn, a chance to understand, a chance to realize why decisions are made. Like sometimes there's a disconnect between why a tough decision might have to be made and, a team of people who don't really get it. But then when you see, well, look at the numbers kind of tell the story. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What a neat organization. I want to learn. Okay. So you said he's written a lot of books. Which one would you recommend to start with, if any?
I think his first one, which is Building a Great Business.
Building a Great Business.
Hold on. I'm not even leaving the screen. Look. It's literally right here. Don't mind my sweatpants.
Building a Great Business. Okay.
I think that is it's the number one. They're great reads.
I like how it's building a great business, not building a great restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think they have 13 different restaurants now, or not restaurants, but businesses under the umbrella of food. But from, coffee to candy to baking to all of those things.
Plus they come, it sounds like they have do they have a training facility? I mean, you said they came in
Mm-hmm.
also, is that part of they have a business of coaching principles?
Yeah, they do. I look at places like that and I'm like, that is to me aspirational. And I would put Danny Meyer in that entire category 100%. I think they're very much aligned and in tune with really what's happening with the way that businesses need to be structured across the board. Like you were saying, it's not restaurant specific. It's really for any industry out there can take those principles and run with them.
You can learn so much from setting the table. I've recommended to friends of mine that, I run around with a lot of, my buddies are entrepreneurs, but they're in different industries. But I've recommended that book to a few of them just because the principles in that are just, they're applicable almost anywhere. If you take the same principles of how you treat your customers and customer service, all those things, and focus, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you'll get an advantage, because customer service is so crappy these days. By and large, like, people are wowed when you just do what we might consider the basic stuff, stuff you're like, well, of course we do that. And people are blown away. Well, I'm interested in this is an interesting challenge right now you've got this great restaurant, this great reputation, this great brand, this great city. You can't find people to cook.
Really can't. It's amazing because it is all about the people, and the people are the most challenging part, because every person who we employ has a full life and dreams and ambitions and needs of their own. And I think that the pandemic has brought, I think, a lot of clarity to people, and whether that clarity means insecurity, or needing to change directions, or for some people, I think that it's shed light on how they want to live their lives in really positive ways, and is exciting, and bringing about change for them in that way. But that's part of what I think has been really hard, is that there's been sort of like internal resets
Mhm.
of taking account of what really matters, and what you need. And so at least for me, I feel like I'm really trying to meet my people there now. And that is, it's hard. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm getting too far too far.
Oh, I love this. This is the core. This is the crux of the whole thing. I wonder. I mean, so like the people that cooked before, some of these folks may have just said, "Look, I'm making more." With I don't know how this works where y'all are, but I know a lot of places people were able to make more just by taking the unemployment. But that ran out. Like I kind of thought that after that was done, people would be desperately looking for jobs.
So that's what I thought as well. I mean, that's the one thing that I thought at the end of this. We closed in March, and when I made the decision to switch locations, when I figured out that we were going to survive, first of all, and that was a rough couple of weeks trying to figure out whether we really were going to make it through and going to be able to see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. I made the decision not to reopen until August and to make the switch, because I knew that the good unemployment, Mississippi has really terrible unemployment benefits just on its own. But with the federal assistance, the unemployment was so good that I was like, there's no reason that we should put people in danger and,
Yeah.
disable them from taking that aid at a time like this, because we really don't know what's going to happen. And of course, also, Oxford is really slow during the summer anyways. So it worked out well to coordinate the switch of the restaurant, which took some doing with that. And yeah, like I said, I mean, I really thought that after that unemployment ran out, that more people would be looking. And to be fair, the majority of our people came back. Some of the people that we lost decided to move back to Florida, decided to go back to school, decided to, make a bigger life change than, and those were like, for us, those were part of our like really solid back of the house team. So we lost a few of them. And I think those are what you hear me saying. I don't have anybody coming through the door. I'm looking to replace people that were skilled and talented, and that part is, I don't know where they are. I don't know
Mm.
where they are, but I'm sending out my vibes. And if you see this here, Oxford has a great lifestyle, really great schools for your kids, um, all of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. I mean, this is maybe people were, yeah, if they've moved away, maybe people will move there. I mean, people are probably moving more than ever, just in general now. A lot of them are moving out of the big cities. And have y'all seen an influx? I mean, I know we have here in Charlotte or North Carolina.
Mm.
We've had a lot of people moving to this area in the last few months that are coming from New York and the Northeast. And
Mhm.
you all seen that as well in Oxford?
I think that the housing market, like in terms of sales, has been pretty strong, but I personally haven't seen it. I don't know off the top of my head of anybody who's moved to specifically get out of a big city, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's happening. I just personally have had my head down trying to get stuff done, so I haven't noticed that specifically. But yeah, no, I mean, I was just listening to NPR yesterday. I mean, I think from 1983 is the last time that New York has seen, like open, what's the word I'm looking for? The availability rate, like the open amount of apartments and stuff hasn't been there for that many years, for 40 years, almost 35 years.
People are moving out. This accelerated. I think it was already happening, but this really accelerated it. Okay, so Yeah, I mean, I hope that, I mean, if you're listening, I'll tell you, I'll give you my pitch for why people should come work for you. Um, but in general, and it's something that my daughter is 16 and she just applied for her first job at Waxhaw. We're in Waxhaw, so we're south of Charlotte. We're in a little town called Waxhaw, and she applied at Waxhaw Candle Company. And I think actually in a little bit she's going to secretly have me on speakerphone when they call her back to just like in case she freezes up or whatever. I can like I've written her a note card of things like she wants to be thinking about asking and saying. This has a point, I promise. So, but I eventually, not yet. I don't think she's quite old enough yet, but eventually would really like her to work for an independent restaurant. And I want all my kids to work for independent restaurants. I even wrote a blog post about this about 5 or 6 years ago about why I want them to work for an independent restaurant one day. And here it is. Uh, when you go work for an independent restaurant, you are working, first of all, for somebody that is a member of your community, some owner that has poured time, energy, love, care, passion, intention, thought into your community. Restaurants are the first place we go. Like if we're going for a school drive or anything where we're trying to raise money, who do we call? The local restaurant. Where do we go to celebrate some great event? The local restaurant. Where do we go to or maybe to mourn a loss as a family, and we bring family together? We go to our favorite local independent restaurant. When we think about great cities and great towns, like the first thing you think of if you go, well, why is Oxford great? Well, they got great restaurants, they got, great music, great university. I'm like, it's always restaurants are a part of that. And what I love about independent restaurants, and this is restaurants in general, but particularly independent ones, are like, it's this mix of like all these people from all these socioeconomic backgrounds and races and different lifestyle, like all these things coming together. It's like the one place where it really, while you like for your sous chef, you need experience and things like that. To work in a restaurant, it doesn't matter where you went to college or what you've done, but if you're willing to show up, work hard, be a part of a team, be a good team member, take care of your customers, man, like the restaurant industry is like the most forgiving and industry with open arms of going like, and maybe you've screwed up in the past, you've had substance abuse, but whatever it is, like, yeah. I see your industry as one that embraces people and helps foster their growth. And you even mentioned like you're sitting there thinking about, like people that are coming to work for you that have other dreams, but maybe this is a conduit between where they are and where they want to be. But it's an amazing place. It's like if you really want to like experience the true melting pot that we call America, whatever, like, man, the restaurants are like, that's where you do it. So I want my kids to do that because, it just give, not only that, I'm convinced, because I don't think I could run a restaurant because I'd crack. Like I can't handle all the stuff. You all put out fires constantly. So I feel like if you can like go work for a really good, well-run independent restaurant, like St. Leo, like Zingerman's, like Danny Meyer's places, or so many of the places that we're lucky to serve, you're going to learn like so many transferable skills. It's the same reason that why that book is, How to Build a Great Business, because all these things you would learn there, you can take anywhere. I mean, anywhere without question.
The soft skills that you build on the floor of a restaurant or, on the floor in the back, the deeply interpersonal workings of how you have to read people, communicate to people, it is so valuable. And I totally second everything that you just said, because it's really, really true. I mean, that's the reason I came back to restaurants is it was my first job when I was 16. I was a hostess at a restaurant in Tiburon, California. And I was like, I loved the pace of it. I loved the energy of it. I loved that I met people and made friends of all ages, ranges, all across the board. So yeah. And, I think we employ more single moms than any other industry in America. I think that we, first of all, we employ like 11.2 billion people or something. I'm okay, maybe not billion, but it's amazing what we give to and the role that restaurants have in communities. Super important.
It's very important. Okay, so we're not surprisingly aligned there. Now I'll make my pitch for working for you, because I know you and I know you're a good person. I know you're authentic and genuine, because I've talked to you plenty of times offline where we're not recording something for a larger audience. And I think you're a person who has a lot of passion for what you do and for your community and for the people you serve and for the people that work for you. So if you send this over to the university, there's my pitch for working for.
Yeah. And we provide good jobs. I mean, that's what really the bottom line is. And I'm so proud that we provide good paying jobs. We really do. And I'm not the only one in town who does. There's other places too, but I'm just saying restaurants in general. It is hard work, but you see the fruits of that. And especially now, so many things are not operating like they used to. So if you aren't able to work from home, it's a viable option for good income.
Tell me about the Southern Foodways Alliance, which is there in Oxford. Just tell people about it. What do you like about that organization, and why do they exist?
So the Southern Foodways Alliance is based out of the University of Mississippi, and it is its program is to study Southern foodways and food culture as it pertains to the South, which of course extends way farther out. They've been around for a very long time. I don't know exactly how many years. Usually actually in October each year they have their weekend, where SFA holds its fall symposium here in Oxford, and that's been sad. It's been virtual this year, which is great. And I think the virtual aspect has been really pretty cool and accessible. But, we're just sad that one weekend out of the year, people from all over the place would come to really deep dive into one specific theme that they would pick, every year. And I think last year was about labor and food labor and what that means. I'm not exactly sure what this year's virtual symposium was based on, but for Oxford, it was amazing. All of these people come from all over the country and really dive in to looking at foodways and of course meeting and connecting. And that's how I met Ari. So
that's why he was there. I meant to ask you why he was.
It was in October of 2016 that they were here for the SFA weekend, and I hope that SFA has a 2021 symposium. I'm also knocking on wood. I can't tell you. My knocker is rubbing is getting worn down because I just keep on knocking on wood and hoping that 2020 can get over with. Hopefully, relatively, no more massive drama happening in 2020. 2021 gonna be a great year.
I wouldn't bet on it. Guys, nothing surprises you now, Man,
it's been a rough one.
It's been a rough one, but it's hopefully, in a lot of ways, it's well, you mentioned it. It's helped a lot of us it forced you to stop and reset and rethink and revisit what's important to you. What were you caught up in? Just because you're just going so fast all the time that maybe that's not what I want to do in life or be in life or whatever it is. It's obvious. It's forced so many businesses to dig deep and get super creative and thoughtful and probably, unfortunately some won't make it through. And then maybe the ones that do will come out even better and stronger in a lot of ways. So it's you don't welcome this stuff by any means. You don't want it, but it's like, if you can't help it, you can't change it. You got to find ways to leverage it to grow, and be better. And that's true in business and life and everything, of course. But
I do think that we'll see a lot of innovation coming out of this. And I know personally that, you know, at least there's a little part of me that feels now like, okay, I've been through the worst. And I say that because I mean, I laid off every employee I had and closed without knowing that we were going to reopen. And, you know, everything could always get worse, yeah, of course. But I'm like, if we can move through that and, you know, I mean, man, talk about just resetting your priorities and being like, nope, not doing that. Okay, yes, focusing on this. And none of that happens overnight, you know, even 8 weeks in, it's natural. I see a lot of ways we are slipping back into some old habits. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 you know, no, we got to, 2020's been teaching us, we're not going to go back there. So, yeah, 2020, it's one for the books, I guess we should say, because it is going to spur great innovation. It's going to, it has forced people to operate leaner, smoother. You know, just, you got to get on top of your game. Yes.
I want to let you go. I know you have another meeting here in a little bit, but I do want to ask you about something you and I have discussed before. But you're involved with more than one, I believe, groups of successful female entrepreneurs or business owners or restaurant owners. What are some of those groups? And like, if you were speaking to, you know, other women that own businesses or own restaurants, like, what are some of the ones you really have learned a lot from and would recommend people check out?
So I was fortunate enough to be a part of the 2018 Women in Entrepreneurial Leadership Program through the James Beard Foundation. And I will tell you that that group of, I believe there was 20 of us, women across the country who all own food related businesses. That group has been totally monumental for me. We are all still in contact. We Zoom call, we have a group page that we message and rely on advice and just throwing things out there. Sometimes it's just sympathizing, moving through this. Other times it's like, hey, who's your packaging person? Hey, how did you connect, you know, X to Y? I reached out on our Facebook message today and said, hey, how have you streamlined your training programs and your onboarding? Do you guys have anything that has worked really well for you? So out of those women, there are so many amazing ones to be named. My friend Carrie Crow has Melt ice creams in Fort Worth, Texas, and my friend Joanna Kirkendall has a Pleasantry in Cincinnati, and also she has a wine bar and coffee bar as well. Daniela Leone has Breadfruit and Rum Bar in Arizona. And she also just launched a Big Marble Organics, which is an amazing ginger beer line. Totally sustainable, organic and fair trade and delicious. She's based out of Phoenix. Highly recommend. I'm like, oh, I wish I could grab one right now, because she sent me a box of them and they're so good. Kelly Fields in New Orleans, Willa Jean. I'm missing so many of them because they're all over. Ping Ho is in Detroit, Michigan. She has Roe and the Royce. Amazing people running great organizations and companies. And I'm very humbled to be in their presence because I just learned so much from them. Oh, Winston-Salem. My friend Claire Calvin has The Porch and the Cantina, and Alma Mexicana, I believe is her other one. They're all weathering the storm. They're all, you know, getting through it. And it's finding my biggest piece of advice for anybody, really, and I give this advice to myself, but whenever you're in something, running a business of whatever kind, you got to surround yourself by people who are having somewhat similar experiences, because it just really, really helps to, you know, bounce ideas off of and talk about industry specific things that come up, and cultivate friendships and relationships and all of that. It's good stuff. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Tell your friend in Winston-Salem, if she likes coffee, to go check out Known Coffee, KNOWN, Known Coffee.
Okay, I will.
That's Sean Scott. He's been on this series, and he was in our second book, and he moved up from Miami. Literally, he and his wife and his 2 children moved up right in the middle of the pandemic, and opened up he had a successful coffee group down in Miami called Subculture. And he had partners that had gotten big, you start having differences of opinion, whatever. So he moved and Winston-Salem. He started Known Coffee right in the middle of this. Super dude, knows his stuff, been in the coffee business for 20 years or something like that. So tell her to check it out.
Yeah, you need to, I need to connect you with them. They might, you never know. First of all, some of them probably use Schedulefly, maybe.
Well, Willa Dean does. I know that for sure because I've sent them some hats before. I don't know about the other ones. I'm not sure, but yeah, tell them we're here scheduling. I'll make a pitch for that if they want scheduling. We'll take good care of them.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Well, it's really good to see you. Nice to see you in person. Usually we're just talking over the phone. So good to see your face, and take it easy. And we'll talk again soon.
Count on it. It's good to see you. Y'all take care. Tell your team hello, and I'll get some more hats and some headbands your way. We just got some fly headbands.
They all love it. They all love it. All right. We'll see you soon, Will.
See ya.
Bye. Thanks.